In the middle of an intensifying regional crisis, Iran's top diplomat has sharpened his message not just toward Washington, but directly to Arab governments caught in the geopolitical crossfire. As the war dynamics evolve in 2026, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has combined diplomacy with unmistakable warnings, signaling both an opening for de-escalation and a readiness for confrontation. The border backdrop is a rapidly escalating conflict involving Iran, the United States, and Israel. Since early 2026, military exchanges, sanctions, and strategic blockades have pushed tensions to dangerous levels. The United States has expanded military pressure in the region, including naval deployments and a blockade targeting Iranian oil flows. Moves Tehran has openly condemned. At the same time, Iran has responded with missile strikes, drone attacks, and by tightening control over the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical energy choke points. Against this volatile backdrop, Araghchi's statements are not isolated rhetoric. They are part of a broader strategy that blends deterrence, diplomacy, and regional signaling. Iran's message to neighboring Arab countries has been explicit and strategic. Tehran has made it clear that any cooperation with U.S. military operations could come at a direct cost. He said countries that allow their land to be used for attacks will be treated as targets. This warning reflects a consistent Iranian doctrine throughout the current conflict. Tehran has repeatedly emphasized that it will not limit retaliation to U.S. forces alone, but will extend it to any regional infrastructure facilitating those operations. In practical terms, this means U.S. bases or logistical hubs in Gulf countries long considered secure are now framed by Iran as legitimate military targets if used against it. Araghchi's diplomatic messaging goes beyond threats. It frames the United States as attempting to pull regional allies into a broader confrontation. He said there is no reason to trust the United States. This line reflects Tehran's attempt to reshape the narrative among Arab governments. By portraying Washington's strategy as a trap, Iran is signaling that alignment with U.S. policy could expose regional states to direct conflict without guaranteeing protection. Iran's approach here is calculated. Rather than isolating itself, it seeks to isolate the United States diplomatically within the region. Despite the hardline rhetoric, Iran has not closed the door on negotiations. In fact, Araghchi has been actively engaged in diplomatic efforts, including outreach to regional partners and global mediators. During these engagements, he emphasized Iran's conditions for talks. He said Iran will not accept excessive demands. This reflects Tehran's resistance to external pressure, particularly around its nuclear program and missile capabilities. At the same time, Iran has indicated that diplomacy remains possible, but only if military pressure eases. One of the most explosive developments in recent weeks has been the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. Tehran views this not as a limited measure, but as a direct act of war. He said this is an act of war. That statement underscores how seriously Iran interprets the blockade, framing it as a violation of ceasefire understandings and international norms. This single issue has become a major obstacle to negotiations, with Iran refusing to engage directly unless the blockade is lifted. Behind Araghchi's diplomatic tone stands the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which has issued its own warnings and demonstrated operational readiness. The IRGC has made clear that retaliation will not be symbolic. He said, "We will deprive America and its allies of oil and gas." This statement reflects a broader strategy of economic warfare, targeting energy flows and infrastructure to impose costs on both the United States and its partners. Iran's ability to disrupt oil routes, particularly through Hormuz, gives these threats significant weight. What emerges from Araghchi's messaging is a dual-track approach, pressure through clear warnings of military retaliation, including against regional actors, and persuasion aimed at convincing Arab states that neutrality or distance from U.S. actions is in their best interest. This approach has intensified dramatically in the current conflict. Iran is leveraging both fear and diplomacy to reshape regional alignments. For Gulf countries, the situation is increasingly precarious. Many host U.S. military assets while also maintaining economic and diplomatic ties with Iran. Iran's warning effectively forces a choice: align with the United States and risk becoming a target, or distance from U.S. operations and potentially strain security partnerships. This dilemma is at the heart of the current regional tension. The stakes extend far beyond the Middle East. The disruption of oil flows, combined with military escalation, has already impacted global markets. Energy prices have surged and shipping routes remain unstable. The Strait of Hormuz, through which a significant portion of global oil trade passes, has become a focal point of strategic competition. Iran's ability to control or disrupt this passage amplifies its leverage in both military and diplomatic terms. Efforts to restart negotiations have so far yielded limited progress. Talks mediated through regional and global actors have stalled, largely due to disagreements over preconditions. Iran insists on lifting the blockade and ending military pressure, while opposing demands continue to focus on nuclear restrictions and broader security concessions. This gap has proven difficult to bridge, keeping the region in a state of uncertainty. Araghchi's statements are not only aimed at regional players, they are also a signal to Washington.
By combining warnings with conditional openness to talks, Iran is attempting to shift the negotiation dynamic. The message is clear: pressure alone will not force concessions. Instead, Tehran is signaling that any meaningful agreement must involve mutual steps, not unilateral demands. Perhaps the most dangerous aspect of the current situation is the risk of miscalculation.
With multiple actors involved, state militaries, proxy groups, and regional alliances, the potential for escalation is high. Even a limited incident could trigger a broader conflict. Iran's warnings to Arab states, while intended as deterrence, also raise the stakes by expanding the potential battlefield beyond direct confrontation. Iran's latest messaging reflects a moment of strategic clarity and strategic risk. Araghchi's words combine warning and outreach, signaling that Iran is prepared for both negotiation and escalation. The emphasis on avoiding a U.S. trap is as much about shaping regional perceptions as it is about countering policy. At the same time, the underlying reality remains unchanged. The Middle East is navigating one of its most volatile periods in years. Whether diplomacy can regain momentum or whether the warnings turn into action will likely define the next phase of this conflict.